Ransomware in small and medium businesses, or SMBs. The top 5 missing or incomplete controls that could prevent or cripple attackers. I think I've posted about these in the post on Twitter, now X, multiple times in fact, but I felt the subject deserves its own little article. Security Aura, or just Aura, is their hacker handle, their alias, their online nickname. And I saw that they had shared this just previously, and the reviews are in. Jeff K says it's literally the best thing written on the internet today. So I would like to take a look through it. And just to say aloud, I did ask for their permission. I wanted their blessing and approval to be able to showcase this in a video, and they did say, yes, absolutely, go ahead. And Aura says, I'm going to try and keep this article light. I don't intend for it to be a full-blown guide on how to address these controls, and I don't mean to either for the React content of this video, I suppose. There are more in other videos that should get into the gist of things, but just to make you aware of them and what's their state in SMBs in 2025. As an active incident responder, I deal with ransomware every week. I've been doing this for the last few years now, mostly in the SMB or small medium business realm, and I can tell you this, AI-based threats, whatever that means, is far from being the biggest worry when it comes to ransomware, which means even any AI-based security solution won't help you when it comes to ransomware when a threat actor gets in via valid credentials and can just netexec or CME for the OGs. Crackmap exec, shout out to the homies. When a threat actor can just netexec or crackmap exec his way through a domain controller before deploying the ransomware payload using psexec.exe and targets.txt. Oh, the top missing and or incomplete controls that could help prevent these attacks or even cripple attackers hard enough to give defenders enough time to detect them, assuming you're not missing number 5 in this list, have, in my opinion, nothing to do with AI and or whatever sort of security solutions some overhyped vendor tries to tell you. Honestly, it comes down to basic IT hygiene and best practices. And we're not even talking about stuff like Microsoft Security Baseline or Active Directory best practices. Simply stuff that anyone can do without much overhead. Yes, even you, MSPs or managed service providers. I always feel bad, you know, like as a person in the industry, as a professional, whatever air quotes, is that I feel like when I have to kind of be saying the same things over and over again of the like boring, basic, boilerplate, baby beginning things of security, of the stuff you hear all the time. Oh, don't click on links in emails. Don't plug in USB drives. Have multi-factor authentication. Use a password manager. Blah, blah, blah. That's it, though. That is the foundation. Oh, hang on. Just a quick second. Before we go any further, please let me take just a couple moments to tell you about the sponsor of today's video. Security reviews, compliance audits, vendor questionnaires, risk assessments. Look, if you lead governance, risk, and compliance, or GRC, you know the reality. It's not just a job, it's pressure without pause. Drata exists to change that. Drata is the AI-native trust management platform built for modern GRC teams. So you don't just keep up, you lead. No more chasing evidence, drowning in spreadsheets, or repeating yourself in every security questionnaire. With Drata, you automate the heavy lift. Security questionnaires? Covered. Continuous evidence collection? Done. Internal and vendor risk management? Built in. And with AI questionnaire assistance, Drata goes beyond automation. It learns from your controls, evidence, and past responses, so you complete security reviews faster, with more confidence. No more scavenger hunts for audit evidence. No more rinse and repeat for every vendor. Just a single, real-time source of truth. And yes, this is SafeBase, a real-time trust center that builds trust and accelerates sales. It's not separate. It's by Drata. One platform, one team. Risk, compliance, and trust, all working as one. Whether you're scaling fast or operating globally, Drata adapts to your workflows, so you reduce risk, prove posture, and accelerate revenue. GRC doesn't have to be a reactive scramble. With Drata, it's strategic, proactive, and empowered. Learn more about the unified platform transforming GRC. Visit jh.live/Drata. Thanks to Drata for supporting this video. That is the basic IT hygiene, but let's dive into the top 5 of these controls. Number 1, no MFA or multi-factor authentication on external remote services. The initial access vector that I probably see the most, may it be VPN, virtual private network, RDP, remote desktop protocol, RDWeb, or even Microsoft 365 or Entra ID when it comes to bacon, egg, and cheese. Sorry, not bacon, egg, and cheese, business email compromise. But the acronym works really well, BEC. It's hard to imagine that MFA or multi-factor authentication isn't still implemented everywhere in 2025, yet here we are. You know what sentence I hear the most when I get called in on IR incident response for ransomware or bacon, egg, and cheese? Sorry, I gotta stop doing that. I did learn that, by the way, from Jamie Williams. Big shout out. You know what sentence I hear the most when I get called in on incident response and the threat actor got in via simple username and password authentication? Oh, we were just about to roll out MFA next week. For the organizations that did roll out MFA, I hear, but how could this happen? We deployed MFA. More on that second one in another blog post. Hint, AITM. Now, to fill in the gaps without waiting for the next blog post for folks that might not be familiar with that acronym AITM, normally that's adversary in the middle or attacker in the middle, however you kind of want to de-acronymize it. That's meaning a session hijacking attack or technique, usually using tools that we've showcased in other videos like Evil Jinx or anything that can do sort of the reverse proxy capability so that they will phish you and gain your valid, legitimate credentials while presenting and looking like the real, actual, legitimate, and genuinely being the real, actual, legitimate Microsoft login page or any other service. So even when you do provide and enter your multi-factor authentication code, that still gets forwarded along to the adversary, and they are in the middle of your communications. Still a foot in the door. But I hear all these statements in 2025. Every single week or month, I hear that sentence. Every single day without MFA enabled on an actual or an external remote service is another day you may or may not be granted to pursue your business operations in peace. At some point, an attacker is going to get in. They're going to get in that way. It's just a matter of time. It's not luck. It's just that your number hasn't been drawn yet. Depending on your setup, MFA or multi-factor authentication isn't that expensive to deploy. Even if you have to pay for physical TOTP or time-based one-time PIN, that acronym always gets me. For some users, at the very least, it's less expensive than dealing with a successful ransomware attack. Yeah, that could be however many millions of dollars in Bitcoin or Monero. The cost of which depends on whether or not you told your cyber insurance provider that you even had MFA deployed on your VPN, when in fact, you probably didn't. Yeah, MFA is a big one, and that is something that I feel like even just for any online service or online account, we forget about. Like, I know that I forget, and sometimes that just falls through the cracks and it gets neglected. I think I would pair this really well with using a password manager, because at that point you have an archive while you're using a password manager on every single online service or account that you use. So literally go through that list that it has made for you for things that you know you interact with, because you have to. You've had the password authentication there, and just double check, triple check, go make sure that's all set up and staged with multi-factor authentication. So even if it's not strictly, VPNs or RDP or some of those other online accounts, whatever website you go to, take a look. Set up multi-factor authentication absolutely everywhere possible. Number 2, exposed and or unpatched edge devices. Probably the second initial access vector that I see the most. Hello, CVE 2024-55591. An authentication bypass using an alternate path or channel vulnerability affecting 40 OS version 7.0.0 through the, so Fortinet. Okay. The CVE is in CIS's known exploited vulnerabilities catalog. Is that still happening? 2024 still bleeding on to today? Probably. Anyway, second initial access vector I see the most after the lack of multi-factor authentication. If there's one category of devices or appliances that should be patched as soon as updates and patches come out, it is the edge. If folks aren't familiar with the edge, the network perimeter, right? You consider it, the outer fence, the boundary of what your network is. So your firewall, your VPN utility in some cases, right? The edge of your network being literally the surrounding fence and perimeter. It is guaranteed that edge devices will be targeted the moment a vulnerability and or POC or proof of concept hits the streets. Simply removing the exposition of the management interface, why is it exposed in the first place, could help reduce the attack surface should new CVEs or different vulnerabilities attack it, and not another service that's available, like SSL VPN. Oh, SSL VPN has to be a little call out. We were working with Security Aura just like personally during a lot of the recent Sonic Wall shenanigans, and this blog post or write-up came just following that. Carrying on. In the SMB world, small mid-market businesses, small medium businesses, however you want to interpret the acronym, the management, or read including the patching of these devices, often falls on the MSP, or the managed service provider. Like, okay, the upstream business or company that will provide IT and information technology or security services to another business, and or the IT partner that installed that device. However, unless the client decides to pay an extra in his monthly or yearly contract, usually, patching will be done on a best effort level, if done at all. Now, I don't know. I am not an MSP, right? We've worked with them, of course, but for MSP friends listening in, is that an upsell in your deals and how you bundle? Or for clients and customers of a managed service provider, are you living in that experience where you do need to pay extra for that extra support of patching the latest security updates? That is, if patches are even available, and if the client or that downstream company isn't running some end-of-life edge device. Yeah, and I mean, obviously this goes well beyond, oh, just edge devices. This goes for any sort of forward-facing application, like not strictly a firewall or a VPN application, but like something in your DMZ, something that could still be offering external services via HTTP, email, maybe FTP. The biggest one, of course, that we've seen has been managed file transfer, or MFT. We could go on and on and on about the MOVEit exploitation or Go FTP. What was the name of the others? Crush FTP. I think that's the one I'm thinking of. But obviously that included with edge devices are the things that are front facing and public, open to the internet. Well, that's dangling out there and anyone could just spray and pray, right? So when the new vulnerability or CVE or exploit or POC hits the streets, damage is going to be done. Number 3, no basic network segmentation. And by basic, I mean really basic. Most organizations do have multiple VLANs or subnets, but they're flat. Workstations can talk to servers on every port, and so can servers. It's OSCP proving grounds, all right? Rachel from accounting can VPN in the network while working from home, and the user VPN subnet she lands in allows her to RDP to the domain controller directly. Okay. I'm sorry, I'm laughing, I'm making light of it, but obviously that is real. Obviously 1000% anyone could probably kind of have that availability and access. So what do you think happens when a threat actor manages to get in through the VPN using only a username or password because of number 1, multi-factor authentication missing? They can attack the servers right away. Granted, they weren't lucky enough to log in to the VPN with Active Directory account credentials that already has some access to the servers. We're not even talking about DMZs here, but simple networking. Have your workstations in one subnet. Have your servers in another subnet. Your workstation should only be able to access specific services on the server subnet, like port 80 or 443 for the web server, port 1433 for the SQL server, etc. Your user VPN subnet should be similar to your workstation subnet, if not even more restricted. But in all reality, that should be separate from the workstation and server subnet. VPN gets its own little playground. Your servers shouldn't have unconstrained access to the internet. Hi to the person that made a tweet once where every time he sees a web browser installed in a DC, he cringes. That basic network segmentation can go a long way. The less services and systems that you expose, the smaller your attack surface is, and the bigger the chances you have of weeding out threat actors in your network that start lighting up your consoles like a Christmas tree. Assuming you have someone looking at that Christmas tree. More on that in number 5. I like the little like teasers and preview for upcoming stuff. It feels like an online news article where they're like, whoa, the top 12 tricks to secure your persona on the internet. Hackers hate him for these. You won't believe number 9. Improper configuration of service accounts. Number 4 here. I use air quotes when talking about service accounts because at the end of the day, we all know what they are. They're not managed service accounts, MSAs, not GMCA, not SMSA. They're simple Active Directory users or local users with the SVC string in their name. That's another OSCP gimmick. From there, their credentials were plugged into whatever system or service they need to power, and we call it a day. These accounts often have high privileges. Why is SVC SQL a domain admin? And they aren't restricted or limited in what they can do on the network. Why can SVC exchange RDP to the DC? Why can it RDP at all? So of course, these accounts are highly interesting for threat actors because they know that if they compromise only one, it's practically already game over at that point. Somehow, that account can be leveraged to compromise an actual DA or domain administrator account, when it can't just straight up RDP to a DC, and then the kingdom will have fallen. In an ideal world, you should be using your flavor of MSAs and not actual simple users. However, if you are, do take the proper steps to secure them. Make it so they can only log into specific systems and they can't RDP at all. They have long, complex passwords, etc. And if someone ever tries to use them in an interactive fashion like RDP, Remote Desktop Protocol, alert on it. But that may be too much to ask. SMBs really don't have a SIEM or SIM, or however you want to pronounce it, Security Information Event Management Platform and Solution, after all. I know some folks that offer a SIEM solution, but that is a subject for another blog post. Okay, we're at the end here. Number 5, the light at the end of the tunnel. No AV, antivirus, next-gen AV, next-gen antivirus, EDR, endpoint detection and response platform, or even someone to look at the alerts. All right, so look, back it up. This is the place where, hey, if someone were to be doing something bad, a user may be compromised, maybe taken advantage of via MFA missing or any exposed, unprotected and unpatched edge device or any of the others. If some bad actor were to try to use a user and then do something nefarious and operate like in an interactive fashion with RDP, you fire an alert. There should be a signal that is raised so that analysts or security operations center individuals could be taking a look through this, triaging, digging into the investigation, maybe going all in on an incident response. But that means you need to have people that are looking at that, someone to look at these alerts. I have never seen a single incident in my professional life so far where no alerts were generated during an incident. That's a good thing. That's a good thing. That means whatever an incident may be, big, bad, small, otherwise, it's going to have some signal or telemetry to it, right? But we just need to make sure we see it, capture that, acknowledge it, and work with it. But that's all assuming an antivirus, next-gen antivirus, or EDR solution was deployed. Even on Windows versions, where Windows Defender is built in now, it'll have always raised alerts. Granted, if the organization is running Defender standalone, like no SCCM, no Intune, no MDEP1, etc. Obviously, a lot of those are management solutions in businesses and computer endpoint devices, oftentimes in the cloud kind of thing. So if you're running just local only, always installed everywhere Windows Defender standalone, well, unless the user actually notices the Defender pop-up when there's a detection, but there will always be a detection. And keep in mind that even when a threat actor disables or uninstalls the third-party endpoint security solution on a system, Defender will be turned right back on. I think we could split hairs and you could kind of get into the weeds, and maybe there's some nuance in there. Obviously, you could do some stuff that we've showcased in other videos to kill or nerf Defender in the most way possible. But say you were using other antivirus ABC XYZ. If they had whatever neat tricks to turn that off, Defender will see, oh, there's no security solution in there, and it'll step in to take its place. Bad actor would then need to do more post-exploitation or other operations, hands-on keyboard activity to now fight and disable Defender, which again will raise telemetry, alerts, logs, artifacts, things that will help the case. There are very good chances that Defender will start triggering on what the threat actor is doing. I think for a long while, like, we were pretty easy and quick to, poop on Defender. Everyone was like, Defender's trash. It's free. It's built in. How could it be good? You get what you pay for. But the thing is, it's freaking good now. Like, it's the best because there's so much inside info telemetry on every single Windows computer. It's there everywhere. It's Microsoft. Like, they're going to be pretty quick to get out all those alerts, signatures, behavior detection stuff out the door. I, for one, think Defender is good. Fine. Perfect. It's what we should be using. As an AV, as an antivirus. EDR solutions, obviously endpoint detection response. You got to have another layer on top of that. That's the defense in depth stuff that we, again, scream and shout about from the rooftops while I'm trying to talk about the same boilerplate, baby, basic IT hygiene stuff. Anyway, most SMBs don't have an EDR and still run whatever AV, NG, AV that their MSP or IT provider offers them. Hello, Webroot, Bitdefender, ESET, and all that. Salute. However, it seems like when these products are sold to the client, they're sold to check a bullet point or a box. They're checking a box in a list, and that's it. There's no monitoring and or review of the alerts is being done, and if there is, they are mishandled anyway. Read, the person looking at the alert doesn't understand what they're looking at. Education, awareness, knowing what things are in cybersecurity. It's my job. Just having a decent security company do triage on your endpoint protection solution alerts can go a long way. At the very least, they'll know that it's odd for SMB reception 1 to execute mimikatz.exe out of C user's public music. Too real! Well, I hope so. In conclusion, so if you are an SMB or small mid-market business, small medium business reading this, or even an MSP, managed service provider, or IT information technology provider, the best thing you can do right now to help your clients against ransomware attacks, or even make it harder for threat actors to execute their goals once they're inside, is to work on just these 5 points above. Obviously, there's a ton of other stuff we could throw in here. We can throw the kitchen sink of, oh, the application and asset inventory list, oh, everything we should have a approve, deny, allow list sort of thing. Yes, sure, we'll get to that. But please, if you're starting taking it seriously now, going all in to get security right, don't boil the ocean. You're just gonna overwhelm yourself, your team, the people that you work with. And it's just not gonna happen. That's gonna fall to the wayside again because you're busy, you're doing what you do, you gotta keep driving onward with what you're doing. Security, that's just how it falls through the cracks. So start small. Even if we go, oh, a top 5 list here, I think it's good. Depending on the environment, some of these 5 controls, if not all, might be easy to implement, while others may be a little bit harder. At the very least, when it comes to number 3, you should deploy a network environment with basic security first mindset from the get-go, and it makes things way easier down the road. You're free to do whatever you want with that information, in my opinion. At the end of the day, I know I'll continue to deal with incidents where at least one, if not multiple, or all of these controls are absent and allowed an attack to go through. So I may as well put it out there for anyone who wants to know what it's like to deal with ransomware in small, mid-market, or medium businesses in 2025, so you can see for yourself. There's really nothing extraordinary about it. It's not some AI Kool-Aid. It's not some elite hacks, zero-day kernel exploit, VM, a sandbox escape, or whatever. Sure, that could happen, but more often than not, it's the easy, stupid stuff. So don't let yourself get hacked over something stupid. Whew. All right, that was Security Aura's blog and write-up. I thought it was good. I thought it was cool. I thought it was worthwhile to share with you. I hope you thought that was valuable in whatever way. Maybe you share it with some of your team, your folks, I don't know. Let me know if you enjoy this style of video, because normally just reading through something that's out on the internet is not normally what I like to do. I like to have a demo. I like to do some show and tell along with it. But it's pretty clear to me, I think that YouTube is leaning in the way of this sort of stuff. I see a lot of other creators that do basically this, just reading, and it's usually background noise. That's what people tell me. Oh, they'll have the video on going on in the background while they're doing whatever. So I wanted to try it. Maybe we'll experiment with a couple more reading reaction videos. But big thanks seriously to Security Aura for putting this out on the internet and giving the permission for me to showcase it in a video. And thank you for tuning in and watching this video. Hope you enjoyed. Please do all those YouTube algorithm things, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.